Benchmark goals are based on Criterion reference standards, while percentile ranks are norm referenced. This is an important distinction. Let's talk about norm referencing. Norm referencing simply tells us how a student is performing relative to their peers at a specific point in time. A common example of norm referencing is the baby weight growth chart at the pediatrician's office. This chart shows which percentile a child's weight falls in. A child in the 50th percentile has an average weight. A child at the 75th percentile weighs more than 75% of the babies in the norm group. And they weigh the same or less than the heaviest 25% of the babies in the norm group. A child at the 25th percentile weighs more than 25% of the babies in the norm group, and the same or less than 75% of them. One of the most important things to note about these norm-referenced measures, like percentiles, is that it does not measure whether it is good or bad, or healthy or unhealthy. It only compares the scores or weight against the norm group. This brings us to criterion referencing. Criterion reference tests compare a student's knowledge and skill against a predetermined standard, like a cut score. For criterion referenced measures, the performance of other students does not affect the student's score. An example of criterion referencing is the "you have to be this tall to ride this ride" sign at an amusement park. The line on the height chart is the criterion. The operator compares the rider's height against the chart to determine whether they can ride the ride. In this scenario, it doesn't matter who else is in line, or how tall they are. If your head doesn't reach the line on the chart, you can't go on the ride. Now let's talk about how this all relates specifically to DIBELS 8th edition. We do not set our benchmark goals using percentile ranks. While we did consider percentile ranks during the process, they are not what drive the final decision. Instead, the decision is based on statistical analysis, or criterion referencing. Benchmark goals are determined by statistically predicting whether a student will perform at or above the 40th percentile on a third-party measure of reading achievement. In the case of DIBELS 8th edition, we used the Iowa Reading Assessment, which is a well-respected assessment. So the benchmark represents the point at which we're reasonably confident a student will perform at or above average. It's important to note that the at-risk category, the one we often refer to informally as in the red, predicts performance at or below the 20th percentile. If a student is performing well below benchmark, or in the red, we know that they are highly likely to end up at the bottom fifth of performance for their grade level by the end of the year. DIBELS is a universal screener for early literacy skills, and it reports both percentiles, which are norm referenced, and benchmark goals, which are criterion referenced. Together, these scores help you understand students' needs for support and how they perform relative to one another. You can find all the DIBELS 8th edition measures available for free on our website, dibels.uoregon.edu.